Hi, this is basically me banging my head on the computer because I find it hard to grasp counterintuitive concepts. I can often be spotted discussing new concepts with friends, or I might be referring some books. To add to the misery, this new subject, data structure, popped up. Despite all the efforts I put, all I could comprehend is the basic definition of linked list, that it is a dynamic data structure where each node is made of two items, data and reference to the next one, a collection of which is known as a linked list. But this little knowledge won't help me solve the assignment I need to complete by tomorrow, which says merging of two sorted linked lists so that the output itself is a sorted linked list. Searching up on the internet is one of the last options I will resort to understand this concept. I hope that I find something useful as soon as possible to complete this assignment, as well as to better my skill and the concept in general as well.
Now let's have a look at the logic of how to convert two sorted linked lists into a single sorted linked list. Initially, we compare the first elements of both the lists, that is 1 and 2. It is obvious that 1 is less than 2, hence we add a node in third list with data feed as 1. As 1 is added from the first list, we move on to the next element 4 and compare it with 2. Now as 2 is less than 4, we add a node in third list with data feed as 2. Now as 2 is added from the second list, we move on to the next element 3 and compare it with 4. Now as 3 is less than 4, we add a node in third list with data field as 3. Now as 3 is added from the first list, we move on to the next element 9 and compare it with 4. Obviously 4 is less than 9. Thus we add a node in third list having data feed as 4. As 4 is added from the first list, we move on to the next element, which is 8, and compare it with 9. Now as 8 is less than 9, we add a node in third list having data feed as 8. As 8 is added from the first list, we move on to the next element 10 and compare it with 9. Obviously 9 is less than 10, hence we create a node having data feed as 9. And now the second list has terminated. So we add the remaining elements of the first list, that is 10.
Explanation by pseudocode. First, a node is created with data variable and a pointer variable link pointing to the next node. Now, we will first see the sort function. The sort function merges two lists into the third list in ascending order, for which list 1 and list 2 are passed as parameters and list 3 is returned. Now first, head 3 is allocated memory using malloc and temp is set to head 3. While loop checks whether head 1 or head 2 equals null. Inside the loop, if head 1 equals null, temp of data is set to head 2 of data, temp of next is set to null, and head 2 is set to head 2 of link. Previous if condition is checked for head 2 as well. If head 2 equals null, temp of data is set to head 1 of data, temp of next is set to null, head 1 is set to head 1 of link. That ends the first if. Now let's see the else statements. If head 1 of data is less than head 2 of data, then temp of data is set to head 1 of data, temp of link is set to null, and head 1 is set to head 1 of link. Else if head 1 of data is greater than head 2 of data, then temp of data is set to head 2 of data, temp of link is set to null, and head 2 is set to head 2 of link. Else, temp of data is set to head 1 of data, temp of link is set to null, head 1 is set to head 1 of link, and head 2 is set to head 2 of link. Now, temp of link is allocated memory using malloc, temp is set to temp link, loop is ended, temp link is set to null, and head 3 is returned.
We are going to create a linked list. Let's see the create algorithm. As we know that the create is a function, it should have a return type. So it is going to return the head pointer as a return value after creating the linked list. So let's understand the working here. So first of all, we will be creating a head by using the malloc, and the temp is of the as same type as that of a head, and then temp is set to head, and then we read the number of elements by the from the user, and the count is initialized to 1. Now see the loop. So here we are creating the loop, and we are putting the condition such that the count should always be less than n. Now we are going to read the value. Value is set to the temp data, and the temp link is set to null, and here we are creating a condition such that the last node should point to null. Now here the if condition terminates. Now we are going to allot the memory for the temp link using the malloc, and the temp is set to temp link, and here the loop is ended and the head is returned back, and here the function ends. Now we have created a linked list. Let's move to the print algorithm. Now as the print function is the parameterized function, so we need to pass the head pointer as a parameter to it. So let's see the logic. We need to initialize temp equals to head and traverse the whole linked list by initializing temp equals to temp link through the whole condition. In every condition we need to print the data of node. So this brings an end to print function. Now let's see the implementation.
As per the algorithm we have written, let's see a code of the same. We have included two header files, stdio.h and stdlib.h, which is the standard library. Secondly, we see struct node, which is the linked list. Then we see three functions, print, create and sort function. Now this is the main function of the program. Secondly, we see the create function, which will create the linked list. Next, we see the print function, which will print the linked list. Then sort function, which sorts and merges the linked list, which are sent to the function as arguments. Now let's see the execution of the program. First we enter the number of elements we want to add in list 1, which is 4. The data 1, 4, 8 and 10. Now the number of elements in the second linked list, which we take as 3. The data 2, 3 and 9. Now the expected output that we want is 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9 and 10. Now we'll execute the program and see the output we get. So as you can see, we got the correct output 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9 and 10. Now let's move on to the conclusion.
Thank God I was able to find this video. I got to know a lot about linked lists and the ways they can be used to solve different problems. This will really help me for my submissions. Also, I searched up the internet to know about uses of linked lists. Actually, they form the basis of various other concepts like queues, graphs and trees, which after going through this video hopefully won't be too overwhelming for me. The code discussed in the video will be down below the like button for your reference. Hope that helps you. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.